All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Melee Monkeys with co host Brashear
Hello, hello.
and myself, Ruler. And tonight we have another special guest, and this time I think it's going to be a little bit more unfiltered, as I have said previously. So, our special guest tonight is Largehorn, who is our raid lead slash tank.
One of them. Hi, guys. I will promise to watch my mouth a little bit. Just no guarantees.
All right, awesome. So I'm really looking forward to this pod, and so it should be gooder. So tonight I wanted to tonight I wanted to talk about our previous attempts on Iron Maidens on normal mode, and then we'll talk about our newest kill, Operator Thogar, on heroic. And that's pretty much it what I have lined up for the main show. We may talk a little bit of something else. We'll see what happens. So let's start off with Iron Maidens. Now, for me, that fight was quite the interesting. It was really fun, really interesting.
It
A
is
lot of
pretty
different,
fun.
lot of different mechanics.
A lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah. So since you are a special guest, Large, I want to get your impressions and initial overview of the fight and what you think of it.
Oh, of Iron Maidens?
Yeah.
Well, um, it's definitely an interesting fight. It puts people. It works in all kinds of mechanics. You got your avoid. You got your stuff you got to avoid. You got your stuff you gotta handle and stuff you got to mitigate. Um, but on the whole, it's pretty interesting. So basically, what the fight is you're fighting the admiral of the Iron Horde's fleet and her two lieutenants at the docks in Foundry, and sometimes on the boat that they have there, which is kind of fun.
Yep.
Um, Periodically through the fight, the one with the lowest health jumps over to the boat, and you got to deal with stuff on the boat.
Yeah, and I wasn't on the boat, and I know Brash was on the boat. Can you give us just a quick little rundown of the things you guys had to deal with? And this is addressed to both of you.
Okay, well, I think Brash should probably be able to handle it better since he's over there for all three phases as opposed to me, with just the one I do. So.
Right.
Man, that was like days ago. um,
That memory.
well, one of the boats. Okay, wait. One of the boats has two mobs. One you have to kind of interrupt, and one you just single target down. Um,
Okay, no, I'll save you, Brash.
yeah,
I'll
seriously,
grab you.
I'm
Okay,
pretty
so
rusty.
so with the strat that we're doing with the first time we go over, there is one main mob who periodically will pick somebody who's over there on the boat, and he'll deadly throw at them. It does a decent amount of damage and puts a slowing debuff on you. It does a ton of damage to not a tank, but the tank that goes over can step in and eat it, preventing the healer or the ranged over there that gets hit for it. The next one is a big guy who puts. Well, the first one also has ads that fixate to people that you just kind of cleave down. They're just there. Second one is a big guy that puts. It's essentially more or less like the first one. You got your tank, your DPS, and your healer, but they put void zones under you that you got to move out of.
Right.
And then the last one is one big guy with a conal attack that you can completely avoid, and his healer. The healer has to be interrupted, but both of them can't be tanked. There's no reason to tank them because the healer doesn't do any damage when he's not casting heal spells, and you can completely avoid the other guy's damage. So that's just all DPS and healers.
Cool.
Wait, isn't that the first one we do, Large?
No, the first one we do is the guy with deadly throw because that's the one I tank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, generally the last one is the one that Large just described, as far as I remember.
Actually,
Right.
this is a good time
Right.
to bring up, like, on whatever attempts we were doing. Me and Jory noticed, or me and Ruler noticed that I was taking a ton of damage from like blast shot or something, or no, grape shot blast.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's from the boat without the tank. And I have no idea how that mechanic works, and I haven't really looked into it. But
The boat without the tank. Maybe it's a cleave
Well-
or
I was
That last
assuming.
phase.
I don't know. It's every time we get that boat. I was assuming that basically because I was doing the most damage or
I
whatever, I was
No,
having
I
threat.
actually I bet what it is. I bet what it is it's an AOE pulse until people get to the boat. So the first time
Oh,
once you get to the boat, you pull the boat. Um, I bet that, and there's nothing you can do about that. That just happens.
yeah,
Um,
that's what I thought.
if that's the case, and I would assume that's the case because then you can't just ignore the boat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Cool. And so large with the tanking of this, I know there's one person, one of the main guy, I think, is the one that you don't tank, correct?
Right.
He's just kind of
Admiral,
chilling.
what's her name? She just randomly shoots at people and then fixates on them to do a nasty kind of shooting at them, and then just goes back to shooting at them. Um, if you have threat on her though, she will stand next to you.
Oh, okay.
So like she'll like towards the end of the fight when she's jumping around dropping her turrets, she will come back to me.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what is the hardest part about this fight from a tanking perspective?
I would say it's probably got to do with positioning. Positioning can get a little weird sometimes. But I bet Joel actually does the hardest part, which is the mitigating the damage from blood ritual.
Right.
One of the if you're looking at the picture, not the one with the sword, but the one with the two axes. She'll periodically pick somebody with this like wiggly swirling beam, and then does cleave at them, and then does a bunch of physical damage to the closest person in the cone, which should be the tank. And since she can pick anybody in the raid, Lord knows where that cleave's going to go.
Yeah. I know I've taken that to the face because I'm not paying attention and I just like end up in between it. And I was definitely one of the more, uh, based on Mr. Robot, I was definitely taking a lot of damage from that, which I just gotta, that's on me. I just gotta pay
I,
attention.
I don't know so much if it's on you. I know there were a couple of times where when it was away from the raid marker we had down,
Hmm.
um, a couple times melee just got hit, and it just because either the rain whoever had it wouldn't quite spin it right, or they just happened to be a little bit closer than Joel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I feel like that's one of those mechanics for me personally that watching the line of sight gaming really helped. Once I saw that you just basically the melee can run out, I just ran right behind Joel every time, and it was like zero issue. I didn't even have to stop damaging. It was
Yeah,
great.
no, the line of sight gaming stuff can be helpful. Like I really do like some of their videos, although the I feel there were phases that video, especially for Iron Maidens, didn't explain very well.
Yeah.
Namely, the bombardment phase.
Yeah, that was something that Brash and I were talking about a little bit was, um, or I think actually we were just talking generally in Raid where a couple of us were like, it was good, but it should have been a little bit longer than 2 minutes. I feel because some of their explanations were about 3 minutes or so,
Well,
and
actually, you mentioned a little bit over 2 minutes. That one is actually the longest one I watched, and it was at like
oh,
3:15.
weird.
Yeah, I was actually reading the comments, and they want to change the format so they can do as long as they need, but just the same sort of like speedy manner of explaining.
Right.
They actually regret making that video that short, the Iron Maiden one
Oh,
specifically. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, so there you have it. Even the guys that did it were a little disappointed. So, yeah, and the bombardment, it was like pretty easy once I realized what the f to do. Um, but one of the issues was, and I think Joel just took just like one more attempt longer for me to realize, like him doing the bombardment phase, it felt like he wasn't moving quite quick enough, and I don't know if that was just because he's got other shit to deal with or not, but
Well,
you were just like, bam, done. You were there.
well, I will admit I did get hit by the first couple of bombs. Um, not the shoot over bombs
Hmm.
when they actually went off.
Yeah.
I did get hit by a couple of those right there, those first few attempts. But Joel does tend to take a little bit longer to pick things like that up, which um, he deems not top tier priority.
Right.
And that has to do with the fact that he's watching. Uh, he's got all those other things that he has to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where I do have the luxury of he's watching those, so I'm watching other things. Just the way we kind of split it up.
Yeah, and that's what I assumed is that Joel's got a bunch of stuff he's got to worry about. So movement, um, when it's not top priority, is it makes sense that he
Yeah.
moves a little slower or whatnot.
And it was also normal,
Yeah.
which meant that likelihood is the bomb going off wasn't going to kill a tank.
Yeah.
Mostly because you look at like Hans and Franz, as tanks we can eat a couple of the presses and not die unless we're actively tanking the boss with the physical damage debuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, exactly. And just a quick thing, like anybody in chat, please, like, don't be afraid to say stuff, have your own opinions, because we love to engage with you guys. And any questions or anything for either Large, myself, or Brash, just go ahead and ask, because we love to interact with others and get other people's perspectives, even in chat. So yeah, I just wanted to plug that a little bit.
expect some delay though.
Yes, there is a 30-second delay.
Yeah.
But you're scary. 70. Wow. Oh no. Oh.
Well,
Um,
so there'll be less of a delay for Rhuller, but Brash and there's going to be a delay. So
Yeah. How large is large?
well, I'm about 6'2".
Wow. I didn't realize you're that tall. That tall. That's funny.
Who's got a question?
Yeah. He just
I'm not
said.
sure if it's popped up yet.
Yeah, he said exactly my question actually. So I guess the how large is large.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Anyways.
And I'm also like 240, so I do have a bit of a beer gut.
Yeah. You can't avoid that shit.
There is a larger horn. So the youngest of my older brothers is 6'5". When he grows out his hair, he's actually like 6'8".
Wow.
Hair height.
Gotta get on that game. Yeah. Hey, I'm taller than Windmask. That's impressive. I'm usually not taller than anybody. Okay. Sorry to get a little off track there, but
5'3". He's a freaking manlet.
I'm only 5'5". Anyways, so Brash, I know you had some really good attempts, and I know there was like a little bit of a question about whether you thought you should be on the boat or not, and
Oh right, yeah.
and the final attempt, how just RNG fail, typical warrior. Yeah, I just want to get how you felt about those attempts and how you felt about being on the boat and whatnot.
Oh, well, yeah, I brought it up to Joel, and he basically said that he wanted me on the boat pretty much because he trusts me at handling it, which I am pretty good at not standing in the fire without being told to not stand in the fire.
Yeah.
If it's a more complicated mechanic, I'll be like, what are you even talking about? I'm not standing in the fire. That's all I need to do. And Bladestorm, right? Just Bladestorm.
That's right. That's all you got.
Like
That's all you
two
gotta
things. Simple mind. No, but yeah, I was wondering if I could maybe stay on the platform and just DPS the bosses the whole time, because the boat is majority is just single target, where I'm running my AoE talents, so I could do more raid DPS, like staying with the bosses.
It's funny you mentioned that. And when we get to heroic, it might be an issue, but on normal, we were actually having to stop damage to make sure we didn't push the last phase before we were ready for it. So having you on the boat wasn't an issue.
Yeah, that's actually true.
I didn't even actually know about that. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. But yeah.
Right, so if I was on the main platform, we'd probably push the bosses while the boat group was on the third boat.
Right, or we'd have to hard stop sooner, which defeats the purpose.
Yeah, kills DPS. Okay, cool. Yeah, and Brash, some of the just kind of like, I want to know your overall opinion on all the attempts that you did. Your damage, basically.
Oh, my damage. Okay, well, I tried a different combo of talents like every pull, and I don't know. Arms was okay. It was a little bit lower because my Fury gear is better. Uh, and I think I found the best talents being Dragon Roar, Bladestorm, and Ravager. And on the last poll, yeah, I did really bad. Well, relatively, I did like 38k, whereas the other polls I was doing like 40, 42k or something. And I think it was just down to like luck. Like I wasn't critting. Yeah, exactly. I just wasn't critting, so I wasn't getting the Raging Blow procs. So then I couldn't use my AOE basically. It was pretty frustrating, but I mean, it'll be fine. That just won't happen on the kill, right?
So you were so you were running arms this fight?
No, I only ran arms for one pull.
Oh, okay. So you were
And-
Fury the rest.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy playing arms for the one pull, and it was a little bit lower, so I'm like, F that, and I just went back to Fury.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, Fury is definitely more fun.
Arms
So
is
there's
like, yeah.
there's a joke. One of the on MMO, one of the mega threads, the one for Fury is actually entitled "So I just spent 10 seconds mastering arms. Now what I do."
Yeah, arms is just weird. It feels like you're babying like 3 spells. You're keeping your rend up and you're spamming your 3 other buttons, and it's like, okay, that's it. And it feels like I don't know. It feels like you're not doing it right, but you are because it's so bloody simple. I don't enjoy it really.
Which is funny considering what 1.5 X packs ago it was probably one of the most complicated specs out there.
Yeah, like at the end of Kata, that's when I actually like kind of started to really like arms and swap to it. And it was quite complicated. You had to stance and stuff, which was just macros basically, but quite involved. And I kind of miss that.
No, I get what you say. So for those that don't know, I was actually a Fury warrior when I came into Monkey Business. One of those that refused to go arms at the end of Kata.
Yeah.
So I get that. Also, that Kirby on Fire emote. Holy crap.
Oh, it actually what the how come I didn't know this? This must be a Franker Z thing where you can hover over it and actually see how to do it. What? Anyways, completely off topic.
Yep, completely.
So okay, I guess I haven't really said anything myself. Yeah, this fight was fun. I was kind of like really focused, so like I was kind of like meh. Like I was just trying to be meh the whole time to keep myself focused, and I felt like I was doing really well on this fight. And I am not. I guess Blood Boil is really good for the 3 targets. When there's 2, it's still good, but the 3 targets really makes it go right. My DPS go up.
So it's that standard melee cleave. Like 1 or 2 targets, not so great, but once you get to about 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely improvement overall on this fight, and I don't know if I definitely wouldn't want to be on the boat because my single target isn't great. So I definitely am more useful down on the platform. And like I said prior, like I finally realized how to do bombs, so that started to get better. I know I was taking a lot of damage from bombs at the beginning, the first few attempts. It did take me a while to kind of like not derp, but
No, that's fair.
yeah.
So, actually, while I'm thinking about it, we haven't actually said what the bombard mechanic is. So
Oh,
basically,
yeah.
what happens is every time one of the bosses jumps to the boat, the dock gets bombarded with bombs. It starts off with like 4 or 5, maybe 6, and basically they land. And once you can't stand on them. And if you remember Hodir back in Old War,
Hello, and welcome to the Fat
the
Boss.
snowfalls were to avoid flash freeze, it fell down and on the pile, then you had to jump up onto the snow cone or on the snow piles. Basically, it's what you're doing with these bomb blasts. So they launch these bombs at you, you avoid them, and then you got to get into where they had just landed, because if you don't, the rest of the room is filled up with bomb blasts. Then once those have all landed, you have to go back onto where those new ones, because the first bombs are about to explode. And then once those have exploded, you got to go back to the first bombs that came out, because the rest of the bombs are going to explode.
Yeah, it's quite the interesting mechanic, and
Oh, one thing I noticed about the bombs is when we come back on the boat once in a while, the bombs will still be up, and we're kind of stunned, right, as it throws us back, and we'll land right in the middle of the platform, and then bombs will be at our feet, and we'll take a bit of damage. It never killed me, but there's zero time to react because it's basically just throwing you right into them.
Yeah, yeah, no, that happens. Is it just me, or did his stream freeze?
Um, maybe. Oh, you know what? It might be because I have that in full screen.
Okay, so people were able to hear us. It just wasn't.
Yeah, I think the video. Oh, weird. The video
Oh,
is
there you go. Yeah.
interesting. Wow. For some reason, I never had an issue like that before, but it was really dropping frames there. So I apologize for that, guys. It didn't cause an issue before, so that's strange. Oh well. That just means no videos. That's okay. Well, I'll just make stuff up with my face. Yeah, so the bombardment was it's actually pretty easy to avoid once you get it. It's just
Yeah,
there's a lot of monkeys that are like
it's
a little
it's
bit slow. That's
it's
all.
definitely ridiculously intimidating the first time you see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. I agree. Yeah. I don't think there was really much else to say about Iron Maidens unless either of you have something else you'd like to add for those attempts we did.
Well, most of the reason why we didn't actually kill the boss had to do with the last phase. So once one of the
Oh yeah.
sisters, one of the maidens hits 20% health, all of them gain 100 fury, which basically, as the fight goes on, they gain fury periodically, and then once they reach certain points, they gain certain abilities. But when they reach 100, they have gained their ultimate abilities, and like the Admiral starts jumping around, dropping turrets that shoot out these like bullets that you can kill the turret, but the bullets when they hit you do a crap ton of damage.
Yep.
She's jumping around, and one of her earlier abilities, this is like this piercing shot line that you have to like join into. Everybody's got to stand in, a la Swarm Keeper from the Paragons fight, just to mitigate damage so that the people in it don't die. The axe boss, part of her melee attacks start doing raid damage. I don't actually know what the one I was tanking did. As far as I understand, she doesn't actually do anything that last phase.
Yeah.
But
that useless boss that does nothing.
so, like the line of sight video says to kill her last because she doesn't actually do any raid damage. So maybe she does some additional tank damage, but like she didn't. I didn't notice any difference.
Yeah, that frickin' turret, like I don't even know how I didn't even notice the turret like the first 2 times I think we got them to that point. I didn't even notice it was there. Like I was like
Was it because you just died, or like?
Well,
I
I
know
think
the first
yeah.
few attempts we did.
I
know the
I
first few
literally
attempts we
just went
did,
kersplat.
melee switched, turret came down, and then the entire melee died.
Oh,
yeah, that was the one where I noticed. I was like, oh, there's a turret there.
I remember that one because it fell, and I'm like, okay, I gotta kill the turret, and like I see the things like the fire coming out. I'm like, oh crap! So I kind of like do my like strafe / jump out of the way, and I was dead before the jump even got off. And I was like, okay, that's not right.
Like these bullets do crap tons of damage, and then on top of it, they leave a stacking like debuff on you that causes the next one to hit you to do even more. So like if you survive the first one, the next one that hits you, you're probably not gonna live through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. Yeah, it was just not particularly fun for melee. And that's another one of those mechanics where you kind of got to get out of shit. And it's like, okay.
Right, and then on top of that, so this is the one we had one really strong attempt, but then we hit where we actually killed one of the bosses. We killed one of the 3, but we couldn't kill the other 2 because once you hit 20%, they also start gaining a stacking damage buff. It's the actual enrage timer to the fight. Man, that fight's gonna be intense on heroic. I tell you what.
That unintentional. I mean, you guys can't see it yet, but that unintentional icon where I put OK capitalized and it made a random ass icon. So that's cool.
Nice.
I don't even know. Yeah. So overall, I think
Cap lock.
that caps lock. Yeah. So I think overall the fight is definitely interesting. We'll definitely kill it. I think pretty close. We got him down to those berserk, like soft berserk thing phase,
Yeah.
like at least 3 times or so, and I
Speaking
think.
of berserks, I know we haven't started talking about it. The berserk timer on operator is amazing.
Oh, I know. That was I didn't even know that happened, but it was just like it was definitely cool. I like it. So we'll definitely be talking about that. So again, if anybody else has anything to add for Iron Maidens, we will be moving on to Operator Thulgar Heroic. No?
No,
Okay,
I don't have anything. So
Oh yeah, I'm good.
cool. All right. So the big one that we actually killed.
woo woo.
Train noise, get it? Anyway.
No,
All
wait. That reminds me of back in the day. Large, tell the story of you doing the emotes while Large was
Oh my
explaining
god.
bosses.
Okay, so we were progressing through Heart of Fear, and Joel
Back
can
in the
be
day.
really long-winded. For those of you that don't know, he comes by it honest. He can just be really long-winded, and Blade Lord, which is the second boss in Heart of Fear, has a shit ton of mechanics. Straight up a shit ton of mechanics. And so at the time, he was playing his game sound through his speakers, but that came through his headset.
Oh.
So I would be on my
Oh,
warrior,
this story,
and for those,
I know this
my
story.
warrior is a blood elf female. For those that you don't know, the trainee mode on a blood elf female, they go chicka 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 chicka. They're one of the very few ones that actually have a sound tied to the emote. Well, I would stand on top of Joel and just sit there and train emote. And train emote. And train emote when I felt he'd gone a little too long in his explanation.
Oh.
Which, of course, made everybody laugh because no one's paying attention, and then
Oh,
you hear the chicka 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 chicka.
This seriously went on. This went on for like 3 raids in a row before.
And then he
Joel
finally
yeah.
before he finally switched.
And he'd like he said something. He's like, man, that's a really annoying sound. And he like turned off his game sound. Oh, remember that.
Oh, that's
funny.
that's beautiful. That is a beautiful story. I wish I was there.
It's great.
Oh man.
I'm glad I remember that.
I remember Day whispering me like every time, just laughing his ass off, because it was the only way he got through those long-winded Joel explanations was the trainee boat.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really I find it really hard to listen to Joel sometimes. So I'm just like I start like I literally alt tab and like watch a video or something while he's explaining. I feel bad because I mean I literally don't. Sometimes I actually don't know the mechanics, but like I just kind of like to do it and figure it out as we go. And
Yeah, no,
'cause-
I openly admit I'll listen the first time, but once he starts explaining it that second or third time because we have that new person, I stop. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm off doing other things, focusing on other things with my life.
yeah, exactly.
Hey look, it's Day.
It is day. All right, so let's talk about Operator Thogar. For anybody who don't know, it's basically it's got a set pattern, but these trains will come periodically, and you just got to get out of the way. Sometimes they drop a big mass of little ads, and you got to just AoE them down. Sometimes they spawn these cannons where the ranged have to DPS those down. There's random shit that lands on the ground that's really obnoxious. There's bombs, so you got to be really aware of where people are landing things. I mean, they shouldn't be landing anywhere near melee, but sometimes they do. And
Well, the ones from the cannons, it's because it can pick anybody in the raid. The one from
oh yeah,
the boss are the ones that target just the
Yeah,
ranged
yeah.
classes.
yeah, that's true. Thank you for the correction. And then there's a point in the fight where we have to split the raid, and we kind of DPS everything down. There's also a set of ads that have a healer, flame mender, and a melee guy who is obnoxious and does AoE, man at arms, and we gotta focus those guys down ASAP and then continue the fight. And yeah, it's basically just paying attention to the pattern and moving out when you need to, and it's a pretty fun fight. You kind of have to be paying attention and stuff, which can be hard for some people. But overall, it was good. So let's start. I know Brash unfortunately didn't come until basically the end. few attempts where we got the kill. But I'm gonna start with Brash and get your opinion about how much harder it is than normal, if you felt it was any difference, and um, basically just talk about how OP you are in this fight.
Yeah, I don't know. I did like 65k on the kill, which is a lot. Um, Difficulty from normal to heroic seemed pretty much the same to me. The ads, I feel like the ads spawned a little bit quicker because they weren't lining up as well for whatever reason. Like some of the ads seem to spawn at like 30-second intervals, and some of them are 45. Where on normal they're all like 45 seconds, I think.
I think
Yeah,
so. I can definitely say the trains came faster on heroic, and it was a different
right,
pattern than the one on normal. Patterns are different.
right, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I didn't really get to see much of like the early attempts, so I got to skip all the
Progress.
learning. Yeah, maybe I'll do that like every kill. That'd be nice.
No, that's not happening.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's about all. I'm sad I didn't get any loot. I want tier.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was a warrior tier that dropped, correct? But you
No.
didn't. Oh,
No, it was just druid, rogue, death knight, mage, druid, and then paladin, priest, warlock.
oh dang. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I used a bonus roll and I got nothing. So,
Yeah.
I did too, which sucked, but whatever.
yep.
Yeah, for me, this fight, because um, it was interesting because I noticed Lokir was running Necroplague, Necrotic Plague, but I knew from looking at like mythic dudes, top mythic guy, he did this fight on with Defile, which is more of a single target thing, but so I decided to stick with that, and I did really well considering that it wasn't like Defile's not the top AOE.
I can't
Um,
believe that the ads are up long enough, except at the very, very end for necrotic plague to do more damage than it, though.
oh yeah, exactly, and that's kind of how I felt too. I thought about switching for like a second, but then we did an attempt, and Lokir like plummeted, and I was like, oh, and so I checked what he was running. He was running Necroplague, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna stick with what I'm doing because I'm doing something right. And yeah, and I did really well, and I find this fight fun, and it was interesting too because on the pull every time, Large, you would pull him roughly in the same spot, and you would be there before the boss would be, so I would have time to plot my Defile on top of you, and then by the time the boss got to you, Defile would be like fully up, and it was
Yeah,
like
no, it's
was awesome.
that fight is different. So occasionally, when it comes to positioning, the bosses will actually move faster than a player can. In which case, positioning gets kind of hard.
Hmm.
But that one, he actually moved as fast as I did, so I could pull him and then move to wherever I wanted to tank him,
Yeah,
which is always pretty much the center of the third track. And so I could always set up, turn around, and then he'd hit me, and then we could bloodlust, we could go. So
yeah,
that was pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
a good point.
yeah,
Because like I never noticed the boss like running behind you because I've tanked in the past and lots of bosses do that where you're trying to move
Right.
them slowly and they just run right behind you and you're like, oh my god, just slowly move with me. And it wasn't really like that tonight, which was nice on the few attempts I was in on.
Yeah, no, it's that. I wish they were all like that.
Yeah.
Because it makes positioning just way easier.
Yeah, I hear that.
sorry, I was. Go
on
ahead.
the on the poll though, I did notice because like I didn't know how you guys were doing the poll, so I charged in, and every time or actually I was only in for 3 polls, and I guess the first 2 polls I charge in, and then like I chase the boss just be go to melee range back to Large, and like oh my god, so on the kill I just like stood where Large was and I just like waited for the boss.
Yep, yeah, and I already knew that from all the other polls, so
Yeah.
I was able to time it and get that going. So Large, this fight is, I want to know, is it fun to tank, or is it kind of a little bit of a shit show?
So believe it or not, this fight is actually really fun to tank. So it's a heavy ad fight, with a tanking debuff. The tanking debuff is its stacking damage, its periodic damage, and then each stack does more damage. Increases the damage you take, not only the damage you take from it, but the size of the dot. Which is why like I have to roll cooldowns on some of on the train splits, just inherently, because if I don't, I'm gonna die. But the large groups of ads, having one or two ads loose is actually not an issue. They don't hit that hard. They really don't. And the ones that do hit hard are just Man-at-Arms and the Flame Bender, and those are going to be our focused kill target, and we're single targeting them anyway. And if I'm picking up the Flame Bender and Joel is picking up Man-at-Arms because I've got the boss, and I can let the other ones kind of go away. So it's not... The hard part about ad fights isn't an issue, and that's because like some of those, that ad gets free and it's going to wipe the raid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not the case on this one.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, I remember
ahead.
like on I think every pull, not the like somewhere in the middle of the fight, like a lot of ads spawned, and I think it lined up with my wreck. So I was wrecking with Bladestorm, and every time I was pulling ads off you guys.
Yes.
And I died.
Yeah,
like
no,
almost died.
There just wasn't anything we could do. Like,
Yeah.
we're sitting there, and unfortunately, I want to say it's the one where they spawn on 4. We have to pick them up, and then we have to move to 2 because there's a train that immediately comes on 3.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And a couple of the times, what was going on was we'd get in there. One of our DKs, either you Rhuller, it might have been Lokir. We'd pull them in, and then an AOE stun would go off.
Yeah.
So all we had, because Joel and I were already moving, all we'd have threat-wise was the dot from his Thunderclap and the dot from my Thrash, which just is enough to hold on to most of them. But
Yeah.
not all of them in the case of Brash.
Yeah, I realized that at that point it was totally not worth using a grip to pull those guys together because we're moving, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna wait and then grip. It was probably like the last few attempts, probably the last 3 I stopped doing that.
Now the first time Brashear died,
I think I just died the once. Yeah.
The second time, I think it was the second time he died, and then on the kill he almost died, but I think he got I think a paladin laid him. I think Regoth was paying attention and got the layoff on him.
I actually heroic leaped away, and they like followed me for a few seconds, and then I stayed out, and then they kind of like turned for you, and I'm like, yeah,
okay.
So I charged back in.
Okay.
It felt awesome. But I leapt into a track. I believe that a train was coming, so I like kind of freaked out. I was like, oh my god. Oh, it was awesome. Kind of reminds me of back in Mists when like every single pull I'd be like pulling aggro. Like what was with that?
Yeah, no, those were the days.
Oh man, back in 10-man.
That warrior threat, and the fact that at the time Joel and I didn't. Now the issue back then. So I tanked on my warrior with a heroic weapon, a heroic 5-man weapon, until we killed Shaw of Fear for the first time.
Yes.
So I tanked pretty much the entire first tier of raids in Mist of Pandaria with my blue heroic tanking sword.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think we gave you the Shaw sword just out of pity.
Right.
Let's. I just want to bring it back a little bit back to Thogar.
Okay.
Because we can definitely talk this in the after show. So I kind of. I know you said it's a fun fight. You said that the ads are actually kind of decent and stuff. What is the hardest part about this one to tank?
Hardest part about this one, it's definitely the management of the tanking debuff. So when the raid splits, whichever tank gets the boss is gonna get 3-4 stacks if they happen to be clear. But on most attempts, because a Man-at-Arms would still be up, especially on the second split, which is much harder.
Yeah.
I was hitting 5-6 debuffs, which I bet was stressing our healers to no end.
Oh,
the healers on my side. And that's even me rolling cooldowns. Like I'm booking it after that train leaves to get back in range for Joel to taunt. Like it's rough. Um,
Yeah, because
but
you would
I always
you
know it's coming, so it's
yeah.
pretty it's not hard in the sense that it's like, oh my god, I want to kill myself. It's hard because I know the hard part's coming up. It's that chance to be able to sit there and mitigate tons of damage and be the tank.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's yeah, and
Screw
that's
you, Day.
and that's exactly why like I'm glad we have a tanking perspective because we're like being melee Brash and I like we're in there, we kind of know what's going on, we kind of know what the tanks are dealing with, but we don't have that perspective of actually having to taunt swap and make sure we get ads in the right position and stuff. I mean, I have a little bit of that because I'm helping grip ads and stuff, but ultimately it's all on you guys. And yeah, and I can actually see how rough it is at that point when you're just taking all these stacks. And
Yeah, no. So for those that don't know, either because they were on Joel's side or they haven't seen the fight. So the first train split, the my side, the track we were on track one, is just one car of ads. So it's half the normal amount of little ads. Not bad at all. Well, the second time you split, you get the full train of ads,
mhm,
and you're talking, as opposed to it being or six or seven mobs counting the boss, it's now 15.
yeah,
Yeah, that's something that we talked about some other time, some other pod where we were like, I was noticing that you were taking a ton of damage when I was on your side on normal um, from one of the groups of ads when we split, and yeah, like it seemed like I was on Joel's side tonight, and he was okay. His levels were like not fluctuating even as much as normal for
Right.
your side.
Right. No, I mean, and part of that has to do with the differences in the way our classes function. So
Mhm.
Joel is a mitigation tank. All of his active mitigations just prevent damage from happening in the first place. Shield block makes it so you block every attack, so that's 30% damage reduction. But he's also got critical block, which is his mastery, which doubles that, so it makes it 60%. And then shield barrier is a bubble, um, where my tanking is literally I try to avoid damage. Um, any damage I take gets kind of affects weakens the next batch of damage I take because of my mastery, but then I have to heal it up. Um, where I'm kind of like this halfway between warrior and a blood DK. Um, for lack of better comparison, it's really how the class feels. It's kind of this halfway point between a blood DK and like a warrior.
Yeah.
right.
So just inherently, I can spike pretty hard, and then on top of that, my health pool is constantly changing. My maximum health pool is constantly changing.
Oh,
So,
okay.
multi strikes, um, where like DKs gives you runic power. Um, Warriors they get a heal off of it. I don't know what paladins or monks get because yeah, but druids they get a certain percentage of their maximum health added on to their maximum health. I top out at right now about 800k. The further and further we get, mythic bears are cresting a million health. Which of course makes it look like I'm spikier because my top end health pool is changing as well. So
Yeah, and like I said before, it you can it makes sense as to why you are able to stay alive a little bit more than Joel, because your health pool is constantly changing. So, um,
right,
and and I didn't even realize that. So like now I'm more aware, and I'm sure maybe even the healers that can benefit from that knowledge too. So that's cool. Um, I think
I can definitely see it being a bit jarring considering without multi strikes going on, my health is only like 475k,
right.
and I'm cresting at 800, almost twice that. So
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, so I can imagine if your health all of a sudden goes down and the healers are like, "Oh my
Right,
god!"
right. If I get a sudden string of not, if I somehow manage to go 30 seconds without getting a multi-strike proc, my health just goes away. My
Yeah,
my health just disappears.
that would
So
be actually really terrifying. Just all of a
yeah.
sudden tank's dead or like getting really
Well,
low.
no, it's not so much tanks dead, but suddenly all the heals that were coming into me, they're now over heals,
Oh
and I
yeah.
suddenly have half the health I did.
Mm,
So
yeah, that's a good point.
So I said a few things, but I had my mic muted.
Oh, how did you
Yeah, it just
how did you manage that?
well, I was clearing my throat, and I guess I didn't unmute it, and I was talking, and yeah, I basically was just like adding a little bit about the tanking. I can't remember anything specifically. Was that a golf clap from Large?
it was.
I hope it was.
Oh,
Scuba's got an interesting point. Like Bella's actually healing on my side, and I believe Sevti was as well. Um, I believe I saw the bubble anyway. Um, yeah, no, it just the more absorbing damage healers definitely do better with me.
cool. And that's perfect. Like and that this is why I'm really glad we have a raid lead tank because like even though it's not my job to kind of know what everybody else's job is because I'm not a raid leader and I'm not a tank, but it's interesting to me to know like what is a good comp for certain stuff and so I don't know. I find it
You want
really
to know the truth? We need to get rid of two of our shaman healers, and we, we really need a. I'd really like to have a monk healer in addition to Coho,
Harrots,
and
Brashear, Harrots.
and then
I don't know.
that other one. I want that other one to be a pally. Just having two dedicated and truly dedicated tank healers. Um, it's amazing, and that leaves Sev to be that kind of spot backup sort of tank healer.
Right. Yeah, that's it's definitely interesting, and I know Brash is definitely more useful as DPS, but
At least I feel that way. I don't know. I am melee. Melee's kind of like we have enough melee.
I think Joel would shed a tear if you were on your monk healing.
You think?
Yeah,
I think he
yeah.
would.
We have too many healers right now. We just do. We got more healers.
Which
than
is
we
which
need.
is surprising because as far as I knew that healers were sparse at the beginning, and now we have an abundance of them.
Right, and it's funny that Brash mentions melee. Brash mentions melee. That's so many melee, and that's part of the reason why my ult is going to be a hunter this X back. Just
Yeah. I
Yeah,
can see that.
it's
I was
it-
thinking about. Sorry, go.
oh no, I was just gonna say it's unfortunate because both of the tunes I've leveled are melee.
Well, I'm never going to get to play my ult, and that's because there's never going to be a one tank fight ever again. So
Yeah, that's true. Because like, remember going into Mists, we were talking about you were going to DPS some of the fights, and
Right.
that never really happened.
it never really happened. Well, part of it was because I won all of the tanking loot.
Right, yeah.
Joel couldn't beat me on a roll to save his life, and he did LFR to get the DPS loot, and it's pulling teeth to get me into an LFR. It is.
Yep, I know the feels. It feels so hard. Cool.
Night, Noko.
So, is if there's any, do you guys have anything else you'd like to add about your experience with this fight, or anything, any advice, or maybe even
Ooh,
strats?
I have a question. Okay, there's two different types of bombs, right?
Yes.
Now I was running up for both. Is that correct?
As melee, so there are two types of bombs. There's a prototype pulse grenade that the boss does. That should only ever go on ranged players. So your ranged DPS and your healers. I think the only healer that's not flagged as ranged are monks. I don't know if that's true anymore. I know that some fights they were and some they weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
remember that.
that's so they could have the option of fist weaving. Um, but that one shouldn't ever be a problem for melee. The one from the actual cannons, the gunnery sergeants, that one can pick anybody but the tanks. So you get a debuff over your head, and then you drop 3 bombs. So
Yeah, that
that's
one
the one you
makes
got to run out.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another one though that like it doesn't really give you a debuff, and it only lasts for like a few seconds, I think. And I'd run out for that time, but I didn't see anything like happen. So I
Oh,
mean,
you know what?
that
I know what you're talking about. Because I saw it on you. Like I saw
Right.
it. It looked like the normal bomb thing, but nothing dropped. So I don't know if it kind of like bugged out or not. I don't
it
think.
might be another iteration of the gunnery sergeant one. Like we
Mhm.
might have killed the cannon right before he shot it, or
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it didn't make that much difference. It was like 3 seconds of me being outranged or whatever. Not a big deal.
Yeah. Cool.
But that was, yeah, that's about it in that fight.
Anything else you'd like to add, Large?
no, that's pretty much it for that one. Anyway,
Oh,
Cool.
you know, actually, I have one more question. What for the attempts that I wasn't there? How was the general feeling of the progression? Like, give me a little rundown
it was
of.
it was very solid. It was
Okay.
we today was just solid progression. Um, First attempt we got to like 65%.
Yeah.
And it was at that point we realized the trains were coming faster and the pattern was different from normal.
Right.
Next attempt we got to about 60. Attempt after that it was about 54. And then we had one of those everybody screwed up attempts. That, no, it was very solid. You came in, and I think you came in right as we hit the soft and rage, which is the 4 trains on all or train on all 4 tracks at the same time.
Right. Okay. And then the first attempt that I was there, I believe we got him to execute, but not much farther because I got a few executes off, and then we hit the enrage, I believe, and yeah, that was it.
Yeah, right
Okay,
about there.
cool. That's not what I expected, but yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, it was actually really good. I was pretty pleased with how, even though there was like a few fuck ups, like there always are, that we did do well in progression. So
Did you have any of those attempts, like early attempts, where you randomly got them to like 30%, like a lot lower than any
No,
other
nothing
attempt?
like heroic Chromag or Chromog, whatever his name is, where
Interesting.
we magically got him to 40% on our first attempt and then never managed to get anywhere near close again.
Backpedaled from there on. Yeah,
yeah,
that was weird.
It
yeah.
really was. Like, I guess everything just clicked that first time magically, and then it never happened again. Like the stars aligned perfectly, and then they decided that no, we weren't actually going to kill that boss.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting, that fight. Cool. So I think we're gonna end it on that part there. We do have just a couple story times, I think. The first one, the only one I have written down because I can't remember anything else, is the constant train puns that we had again,
Oh my god!
over and over again. Like we need to
That was-
derail the situation.
So bad.
It's
It
I
really
missed
was.
most of that.
It was-
It was so much fun. It just came out of nowhere.
and it just
Oh.
kept going. It just kept going like choo choo. Yeah, it was good.
But how do I know which track to choose?
Oh my god, that's so bad.
It really was.
That's like the worst one. And Ankill kept like popping. He kept even going while we were in the ring, like
Right,
fighting. Oh my god.
So basically what happened was Regoth. Somebody said something, and then Regoth like it
Started
was a
it.
natural train pun. Like it just fit in perfectly, and we all started laughing. And then Ruler sits here and tries to force one.
Yeah, it was
Of
really
course, at that
bad.
point, everybody started.
It was really bad. No.
It was pretty bad.
But that's what makes our the monkey business so good. So good.
That's why we're the monkey business, right there.
Exactly.
I had one that I want to share.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody saw it. So towards the end of raid, um, one of the last two attempts, Voodoo did terrible on it, and the reason being was she had started choking on her dinner, which happened to be a plantain.
Wow.
So, so she says this in Officer, and we're all like, so Voodoo, you're choking on a banana, and your husband had to resuscitate you.
Oh my god.
The innuendo is all right there. I don't even
Oh my
have to touch
God.
it.
Oh my god! Like I know she posted in Raid like, "Oh, I'm choking on my dinner." Clearly. Oh my god, tears are real. Oh man.
It was amazing.
Oh shit, that's fucking hilarious. Thank you for story time. That was great.
Hope Voodoo's feeling better. Jeez.
I hope so, but it was just one of those like, Voodoo is choking on a banana. Oh boy.
Oh man, that's good. That's a
Word of the
gooder.
wise, healers: don't suck your husband's dick while you're healing a raid.
Oh
Wow.
shit. That's a good that's some good advice. Make sure you hold true to that, Arculos, because we know what's up.
Oh.
I'm sorry. That was a little too low. Oh my god. Oh, that was perfect. Awesome.
And I shouldn't have said that on this show, because Voodoo's gonna kill me when she sees it. Well, actually, she might not see it, but Joel is gonna watch this one.
I know, and
then
he's
he's gonna
oh
throw
my
me
god.
under the fucking bus.
Yeah. Awesome. That was pretty good story time.
I want you all to know I'm taking one for the team here.
Take them all right to the face. Anyways, awesome. So I think we're gonna end the main podcast on that note. So thank you all so much for watching. Please stay tuned for the after show. We're gonna probably hop right into that. I just want to plug that to make this podcast even more awesome is we're gonna start doing this more regularly on a regular day and time, hopefully. I think we're gonna stick with Thursday nights after raid. So I know a lot of you have to go to bed because you're in the East Coast, it's late, but definitely
8 to 5.
yeah. So if Large can do it, you can do it too. So yeah, so I think we're gonna try and do it a little more regular, and I will have the videos of the live stream up on the Friday, probably closer to 1 or 2 ish, and so yeah, so if you want to say you can't make it, you want to watch the pod anyways, you can go to my YouTube channel at just search Rhuller Gaming, and all of the pods will be posted there. And once you're there, please subscribe and like and comment. All feedback is greatly appreciated. All the support is
Make sure
greatly.
you add a space between Rhuller and gaming.
Yes,
like Rhuller
that's true.
didn't tell me to do originally.
My bad. Yes, it's Rhuller Space Gaming, and that should pop up. If you want to watch any of our kill videos, if you weren't there or whatever, you can watch them there as well, or check out Brashear WoW, which is no space. It's all one word.
Oh man, he'd be tricky.
He'd be tricky. Brashear WoW, and he also has the videos up.
Hey, I had my channel first.
That's true. Actually, that is true. So
you made it difficult.
I did.
Large has some of I have some of our high mall ones. I don't think I have many of our mythic or of our Blackrock Boundary ones. I'm trying to get stuff set up again on my side, but stupid me used not actually a free service, so.
Cool. Awesome. So again, thank you guys so much for watching the main pod, and we are going to go straight into the after show where we talk about nonsense and other things.
Woo!
Yeah, party. This is the party part. But
Nonsense and other things.
thank you for the links, Arculus. Really appreciate